Okay, so we're getting really cozy today and we're going to be making some warm, hearty winter meals. Some of them we're going to eat and some of them we're going to sort of meal prep for the next few days. And it's just one of those times of years where it's starting to get cold outside and you really want to have something hearty and warm. So we're going to be making 3 different things and let's get started because it's going to take a while. So this morning we're going to be making a shepherd's pie, then we're going to be making a kind of creamy white bean and kale soup, and we also are going to be making a rich vegan stew with sort of vegetarian sausages or vegan sausages. And that recipe I've made before, but I'm not going to make dumplings this time. I'm going to make it with mashed potato instead because that's kind of what we would usually have with this stew and it just feels kind of right. Plus we have potatoes that need eating up, so it's always best to look in your fridge or look in your cupboard and see what you need. And what I love about all 3 of these meals are that they all seem to have a very similar base, so I can use up some of the carrots and the celery that we have as well to make all 3 dishes. Okay, so to make the shepherd's pie, it's so easy. I'll leave all the ingredients in the description below, but you're basically just adding a base of red onion and carrot and celery, and then I'm sorry if you don't like mushrooms, you're probably not gonna like this. You can also chop them up a lot smaller, but I just love the big chunks. I also added in sun-dried tomatoes, some fresh rosemary and salt, and then I accidentally put this tomato paste in before the red wine. You're supposed to put the red wine in first, but if you don't want to use alcohol, you can always use apple juice, I think. And in the US, I couldn't find any Marmite, so I just used some white miso instead. I added about 100 milliliters or maybe 200 of vegetable stock. And then I personally love pui lentils or black lentils, so I use those. I used about 4 large russet potatoes and I just boiled them. I like to kind of boil them to the point where they're already getting a little too soft so that they're just really easy to mash, especially because we don't have a masher yet. We're just using a fork. I add in some vegan butter, some oat milk and some Dijon mustard, or this is kind of a whole grain mustard, and then lots of black pepper and salt. And to be honest, that's pretty much it. I add everything on top, like the potato. I put it in the oven until it's about golden brown. I would have left it in for longer, but I was a little impatient. Maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30. And I put it on at about 375. Yeah, and that's honestly it. It's so easy. I always forget how much I like things like shepherd's pie. They're just so warming and hearty, especially as the temperatures get cooler. So if you like lentils and potato and sort of rich stew type things, then I would definitely make this. I also just realized that I don't have all the things to make the creamy bean stew. So I think I'll see you at dinner time and we're gonna make the vegan stew, which actually now that I've realized is very similar to this. It's just doesn't have lentils and has sausages instead. I didn't quite realize how similar they were until I made this. I think if I realized that I maybe would have tried to make dumplings but made a different style of one, because I can't find like vegetable suet in the US, but I think you might be able to make your own because really it's just kind of vegetable oil, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna finish eating this and I'll see you later. I clearly didn't plan this very well because I ended up making a very similar meal for dinner. Usually I would make this with dumplings that go in it, these beautiful big fluffy soupy dumplings which are just amazing. But unfortunately I couldn't find vegetable suet in the US, so I'm just following the recipe from Avant-Garde Vegan. I'll put it in the description below, but I've definitely made this on here before. It's full of vegetables and we've got a delicious celeriac as well in here, so you're getting lots of delicious hearty things. And the difference with this one is because it's made by, someone who used to be a chef, they've got lots of extra things that really add a huge depth of flavour. I'm using the field roast sausages. Those are the best ones I found in the US so far. I don't usually love to use vegan alternatives, but on the occasion like this, I do. So adding the flour in and cooking that for about 2 minutes is kind of what makes this stew really hearty and less of a liquid base and more sort of thick. I also really enjoy using their better than bouillon pots for vegetable stock. I added in some coffee, which personally I think is one of the best things, and I used miso again because I couldn't find marmite. This is a really simple meal. Again, I'm using potatoes. This is why I basically feel like I had the same 2 meals today, but never mind, the potatoes needed eating, and to be honest, they were delicious anyway, but if I had planned better, then, you know, I would have made that soup. That's because I use the same kind of herbs. I'm very tired today, guys. I can suspect that I probably will not have filmed an outro, so I'm gonna film one before I even film the rest of this video today. I am really enjoying Vlogmas, but oof, I am a bit tired, so I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching and been commenting. I've really loved just hearing all of your experiences, all of your plans for this time of year, what books you're reading, what to do with the garden. It's been so helpful, and I just feel like it's been a really great way to just grow this community with amongst the people that we already have, you know, just commenting on other people's comments and talking to each other and getting to know each other more. And yeah, that's one of the best bits that has been the whole sort of experience of Vlogmas for me. So I would love to hear what you think in the comments, and I'm going to count this video as part 1, and we'll do part 2 maybe tomorrow or over the next couple of days, where we will actually make that soup and a couple of other recipes that I've been making all the time that are slightly different from the 2 that I made today, which are very similar. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.